Let's go over the things that I took out. One, you'll notice that I have a single rune word and nothing else slotted into my armor. I don't have any gems. I don't have a second rune word. Instead of using the strictly stronger mythic gear, obviously, I just went and put on a random helmet that I happen to roll Skeleton Mastery on. I put on some Hardened Bones here. I put on some Cursed Aura here. Everything that I'm using is only a single GA. I took out 75 of my Paragon points. A keen-eyed scholar might notice something else different about my Paragon. That's right. I literally don't have glyphs. I took out all my glyphs. I didn't put all the points into my mercenary. This one isn't that impressive, but like I am missing out on Bastion, the thing that basically makes you unkillable while it's happening. And then on top of that, missing out on the 25% damage multiplier from Bastion, as well as a 15% damage multiplier from Ground Slam. But I did go even further than that. You'll notice I didn't even cap my armor. I haven't capped my resistances, and I wasn't using elixirs or incenses. You know what? I missed something. Obviously, Season 8 has amazingly powerful boss powers. That's kind of the whole crux of it, with huge multipliers available, except I didn't use any of them. You might have seen my most recent video where I talked about the fact that Diablo 4 was going to get a lot harder and that progression was going to be more meaningful. And if you've been keeping your ear to the ground of the general community sentiment, there has been quite a wild and aggressive backlash at the concept that basically the game is going to be completely gate kept. You're not even going to be able to get into Torment 4. The game's dead, casuals have been abandoned, etc., etc. So in this video, I'm going to do two things, and I'm just going to tell you them right off the top. So if you want to watch me, you can see the totality of the proof. I'm going to do things right off the top, because if that's all you care about, here you go. Your build will absolutely be able to get you into World Tier 4. You'll be able to do all content, and you will be able to progress your character and complete your season. And two, you're going to be able to do it on a budget. You're going to be able to do it with effectively no gear, effectively no Paragon, and I'm going to show it to you right now. In fact, if I do manage to convince you of the things that I'm currently saying, I need you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I need you to leave a like on the video, and I need you to leave me a comment as well, telling me, how has your experience been? What did you think the outcome was going to be? Did I manage to convince you? And whether or not you still have any leftover issues, concerns, or primary considerations walking out of the PTR. Now, let's go ahead and watch me clear this Tier 60, which is 5 tiers above what you need to be able to get into Torment 4 in the first place, on an absolutely hilarious Temu we have a minion build at home level of trash tier setup. For people who have may not been keeping up, the basic things that you need to understand is that the developers believe that one, early game progression has been so trivialized as to not really be existent. And on top of that, getting into Torment 4, which is supposed to be something that is aspirational and that you eventually accomplish, has become so the norm expectation that the progression throughout the totality of the difficulties basically has meant nothing since their inception. And to their credit, and per the feedback that I've given them in the past, I completely agree. The reason why I think so many people tend to have issues in this game isn't because it's too hard. In fact, I would argue it is way too easy of a game, and that's not a bad thing. This is absolutely the casual's best ARPG experience. But the major issue is that people are never given the opportunity to learn what their build is meant to do, understand what gear even means, even come to the understanding of like why one thing gets picked over another, or what a purpose of something is, or why you're using an additive damage instead of something else. These are the types of questions that we get all of the time, especially being a writer on Maxroll, especially being a guide writer, where people just end up in World Tier 4 on a powerful build, don't know why it works, and then when they start to run into issues, have absolutely no recourse. They have no concept of what they need to do to make their build better, to better pilot the build, or why the things even work. And I believe in having a more meaningful progression, meaning longer periods through which you are progressing through the difficulties, getting your gear, learning to pilot the build, understanding how things work, maybe making some changes to better fit your own play style, where when you end up in Torment 4, you will be a significantly better piloter of the build, and you'll be able to make informed decisions. You'll get why when a build guide changes, those changes were made. And right now, I just don't think that that is the case. And while what you're looking at is not the most impressive clear speed that you're ever going to see in this game, I promise you, the moment that I show you my setup, you're going to be asking the question, how could he even accomplish this with how many ways I hamstrung this build to be able to prove this point? I'm going to go ahead and speed up the footage here. You'll just be able to show the boss kill so you can say, hey, he proved it, that he did it. And there's just a couple things to understand here, which is like, yes, this is a 12-minute clear. This is already in World Tier 4, something that people are currently decrying the reality that anybody would even be able to get into in the first place. And again, this is a Tier 60 pit. You have to remember the fact that they have changed the scaling of the pit. It is significantly harder to scale through the pit than it was previously. And this is 5 pit tiers above what you would need to be running to even be able to get into World Tier 4. You have to run a Pit Tier 55 to be able to unlock that. And just to give you an understanding of what that really means, the difference between being able to clear a Pit 55 and a Pit Tier 60 requires you to add on an additional 128% bonus damage. You would have to more than double your total damage output to be able to accomplish it. That is how much harder it is to do. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the character that accomplished this thing on a minion Necromancer. For a little bit more context, the minion Necromancer is currently sitting at B tier in Season 7, and that is with the witch powers as well. So walking into Season 8, obviously we're already going to have like a different understanding, right? Pit tier is going to scale differently. The borrowed power from this season is going to be completely different. But I went and boosted a character. You can see I'm Paragon level 300, but don't let that scare you. I've done a lot to neuter the ability of this character. And that's what I realized though. I had built out the character and I just want to get some benchmarks, but it really wasn't going to show a fair understanding of the character. I originally had on 3 different mythics. I had on Air of Perdition as well as Shroud of False Death. I talked to my chat and they said that it was pretty fair that I could have at least 1 mythic, considering this is a character that's meant to be in Torment 4 already. And especially on a minion build, funnily enough, the Grandfather, well, yes, it is a decently powerful weapon. This could just as easily actually be a stronger weapon currently by using a 2-handed weapon, which would increase their base damage further. I'd be able to add on tempers so that they'd be able to output more damage. But everything else that I put together was just decent stats for the build. Let's go over the things that I took out. 1, you'll notice that I have a single rune word and nothing else slotted into my armor. I don't have any gems. I don't have a second rune word. Instead of using the strictly stronger mythic gear, obviously, I just went and put on a random helmet that I happen to roll Skeleton Mastery on. I put on some Hardened Bones here. I put on some Cursed Aura here. Everything that I'm using is only a single GA item. Yes, you should expect, if you're in Torment 3, to already have Ancestral gear. But literally none of the things that I'm using are like the perfect creme de la creme, the best of the best thing. I did have Hellbent Commander. That's pretty litty. That's pretty awesome there. I took out 75 of my Paragon points. Now, to give you an idea, 75 of your Paragon points would mean that you only had to reach Paragon 225, something that I believe the vast majority of players are able to do. But a keen-eyed scholar might notice something else different about my Paragon. That's right. I literally don't have glyphs. I took out all of my glyphs. I had glyphs in, but the issue is that when you boost on the PTR, they're all glyph 100. So obviously that's not fair, right? How am I comparing a build that has done Paragon 300, but is only at Pit Tier 60? So I just took glyphs out. I just didn't use them. All I used was the magic, rare, and legendary nodes. I just didn't activate them at all. I took out 75 points, so I'm only Paragon 225. So obviously, this character is missing quite a bit of power. But I did go even further than that. I didn't put all the points into my Mercenary. This one isn't that impressive, but like I am missing out on Bastion, the thing that basically makes you unkillable while it's happening. And then on top of that, missing out on the 25% damage multiplier from Bastion, as well as a 15% damage multiplier from Ground Slam. But I did go even further than that. You'll notice I didn't even cap my armor. I haven't capped my resistances, and I wasn't using elixirs or incenses. I basically tried to take away every single thing that I could. Oh, you know what? I missed something. Obviously, Season 8 has amazingly powerful boss powers. That's kind of the whole crux of it, with huge multipliers available, except I didn't use any of them. I didn't use the borrowed power. I only used a single rune word. I didn't use gems in my armor. I didn't use half my mercenary. I didn't use glyphs. I didn't use perfect gear. I didn't even masterwork the gear. I don't even have 1 out of 1 masterwork across any of my gear. I was able to clear a Pit Tier 60 on a minion Necromancer at that. One of our lower power builds currently in Season 7. And I wanted to point this out because I do believe that there's been a bit of an overreaction to the changes that are coming in the game. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't still be mad. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't be trying to form critique and feedback. In fact, the opposite. I just wanted to give you this additional context because it's very easy for something that makes us angry or something that we believe will be bad to be significantly more powerful than it is. Because when you can't put numbers to it, when you can't prove it, when it's just kind of nebulous, it could be anything. The moment that you don't understand something, it gains superpowers. So I at least want to put this data point out there. I think that it's important to attempt to approach, especially the PTR, where the entire purpose of it is to give feedback to the developers so that they can better tune the experience that they're attempting to give to us, as rooted in reality and objective truth as we possibly can. Now, I'll make a couple concessions here. The Necromancer, in general, has a fairly easy, I would say probably one of the best leveling experiences in the game. as well as decent routes to power, not only through its codex of power, literally just running dungeons to get aspects, but in some meaningful uniques. The Blood Moon Breaches are a strong unique, even if they are a minimum roll, because they come along with passive ranks. Ring of Mendeln is obviously very strong. Now, your mileage will vary with this thing, but this character is not crit capped, it is not attack speed capped, it is not survivability capped, it is not optimized, it's not masterworked. I didn't have half my stuff equipped across all the various power systems that we have, and we were able to get through this. Running it before, when I actually did have that stuff equipped, we were clearing through fine. In fact, I was just seeing what like the maximum one we'd eventually top out at to be able to get the next data point before I was going to masterwork my gear. And then I was going to add on the boss powers to see what the differences would be. But I wanted to put this out, because I think that this is very telling. And I'd appreciate hearing from you again, especially if you did leave comments on my previous video where you were not happy with what you were expecting the outcome to be. If you are still very concerned, I would love to continue to hear your critiques, your information, by percolating it up, by getting it into the community, by having that conversation. Again, we'll be able to hand it off to the developers, but let me know what you think down there. But if I manage to assuage your fears, if you think that maybe this is going to be okay, maybe we're going to survive Season 8, I'd also love to hear from you, because I think it's just as important to see those changes in consideration, changes in opinion, based off of getting new data. Either way, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm not going to yap anymore. I just wanted to put this out there like I said. Again, I hope that it helps you out. I hope that it assuages your fear. If it does not, I hope that you let me know why so we can get that over to the devs. But thank you very much for watching this video. Truly, truly hope that it helps, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.